Hey guys, Tiqqle here. In this video, we're going over the slight updates to the Elemental Shaman talents and skills based on the latest build in alpha. Now, just a disclaimer, all of this is so alpha, so subject to change. So be on the lookout in the description for either videos that I've already done that cover information or videos that that I come out with after this one. I want to keep on bringing these up to you because I think our feedback is being heard by the developers. They have made a huge change to the Elemental Shaman playstyle and spec based on probably everyone's outrage about ICEFURY. So let's get into it. Let's break down these talents and let's do it. Let's just start by recapping that there's going to be a lot of builds in the alpha having to do with talents, skills, all that stuff. This was the old build I covered in my last video. A lot of changes still are valid in that video in terms of what it means for different skills, abilities, the reorganization of some of the stuff, but this is going to go over the new build as of February 25th. It might change again, but this is where we are right now, and we have some big news, everybody. We're getting the ICEFURY back. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's coming back on the third row, which is level 45, which is a little surprising. It's usually in Legion on the last tier, but they've moved it up. For better or worse, it means that we're going to be able to take things like ICEFURY and the Stormkeeper, guys. We're going to basically have the same playstyle again if that's the case, which is actually pretty cool that they're enabling us to stay kind of similar to what we are now in Legion. One of the biggest changes in this new build is where certain talents are. As you can see highlighted in the old versus new builds, a lot of stuff has changed. Aftershock has moved. ICEFURY has been introduced. A lot of different abilities have moved around in the different tiers, and even the stun and all of that. Earth Shield, Spirit Wolf, that's been moved up to the 30 tier. A lot of switching around happening here. Now, one of the big changes is Elemental Mastery is being removed and redone into Master of the Elements. Yeah, the words are basically switched around. What that will do is, instead of having Elemental Mastery, which they changed already to Lightning Bolting has a 10% chance to cause your Earth Shock to not consume any Maelstrom, they're changing that to Master of Elements, which casting a Lava Burst increases the damage of your next Nature or Frost spell by 20%. Now, interesting, because they did take away Elemental Focus, which was something that, every crit you would get your next 2 spell casts increased by 10%. Now they're just saying casting Lava Burst increases the damage of your next. So this is, it's kind of a replacement for that, but it also is pretty awesome because it means that you're going to Lava Burst into your Frost Shock or into your Earth Shock. It's going to increase damage by 20%. A cool kind of multiplier effect happening there. The next change that I want to call out is Volcanic Rage is being removed from the game. It was brand new. Now it's gone. Basically, it was the ability was placing an area of effect totem down almost that would do tons of damage to anyone within 8 yards. As we heard on the alpha for BFA, it was doing so much, it was crushing people into the ground. So it's basically just been removed from the game. It is kind of similar to the artifact ability that we have now, that when you cast a Lava Burst, it has a chance of proccing that lava chasm underneath them, but it's gone. It's just gone. So that's a big change area. Like the 30 to 60 black has gotten a lot of switcheroos in there, but those are the big changes for that. Down in the last tier, Electric Discharge has been renamed to Elemental Attunement. As you know from my last video, I made fun of the name Electric Discharge, and I told everyone that I would take it no matter what. They did change the name to Elemental Attunement. Thanks, Blizzard. I appreciate it. It used to be increases the bonus damage from Lightning Bolt from Fulmination by 20%, and that's gone. Probably because Fulmination's also gone. But Elemental Attunement, now the cooldown of your Storm Elemental and Fire Elemental reduced by 30 seconds. Kind of a bleh talent, in my opinion. I mean, it's significant, but that's it. It's that passive. That's it. It's kind of weird. I'm not that excited about this. It doesn't really weave into other abilities. Maybe this is a placeholder. I'm hoping. I'm not really sure. Not really that excited about that one. The other change is to High Voltage. High Voltage used to only affect Lightning Bolt, and now it affects Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning, which is kind of cool. It affects the Elemental Overload, so now it's more similar to Power the Maelstrom and your artifact trait that makes it proc, Chain Lightning proc on every target that it hits, meaning you can get those sick Chain Lightning casts now, which is actually pretty awesome, especially if that RNG is in your favor. And that's pretty much it for the talent changes. I mean, there are some very significant changes, like the reintroduction of ICEFURY, but otherwise a lot of reorganizing, a lot of little tweaking here and there. There are a few changes to the abilities that I do want to call out. One, let's start with a little bit more of the boring one, which is they're changing how much Maelstrom generates from lightning, chain lightning, lightning bolt, lava burst, slightly tweaking that. Maybe that has to do with how they're expecting Maelstrom to be used now. But it was all pretty much reduced, and that was probably has to do with the huge change, probably the biggest change other than ICEFURY to what has been announced, which is the change to Earth Shock. What they've changed, and it's a little subtle, so I'm gonna, just pay attention. What they've changed is they've made Earth Shock only cost 60 Maelstrom, and they've made the damage not scale on the amount of Maelstrom spent. They only make it scale off of your spell power, meaning Earth Shock will do just the same amount of damage every single time, no matter what, because it only will use 60 Maelstrom. It will not use potentially 100 and, a ton. I think it's up to 125 Maelstrom, as it does today. So it won't get that increased scaling damage. This is very significant. Right now, the way it scales, it goes very high. It's not clear how much damage it will do based on just a fixed 60% Maelstrom. The other change here is that they've changed it from a 6-second cooldown to no cooldown, which is interesting. Maybe it will work better with Aftershock, which will give you more Maelstrom, period. It's not really, I don't know the impact of this, but it makes me a little bit worried because this was our closer. This is how we closed the fights. We brought in the big damage. We lined it up with this. So I'm not sure what 60 Maelstrom, a fixed 60 Maelstrom is going to do, because that basically means it does a fixed, amount of damage. I'm not really sure. Maybe it will be brought in with the PvP talents. It's not clear, but this is a huge change. Huge change. Another huge change is Earthquake. So Earthquake, in the last build, they've made it a lot more complicated, costing Maelstrom per second, having a 2.5 second cast that scaled off of how many stacks of whatever. It went for 12 seconds, etc. They've basically taken that all back. It's now just Earthquake is what it is in Legion. It goes for 6 seconds. It's instant. It is 75 Maelstrom. We're back to basics on this one, everybody. And because of that, they've removed Epicenter, which was a passive. Each target hit by your chain lightning increases the damage of Earthquake and reduces the cast time. It just was, to be honest, it was probably just way too complicated. And it probably so much micromanagement, and the game's just not about that right now. So I see them taking that away because it was something they thought was cool, but in practice, people just were like not probably even paying attention to that. The other thing here is they removed fulmination. When you Earth Shock a target, every 25 Maelstrom you have, up to 75, will cause the target to take an additional 100% damage from lightning bolt, which again, it seems like they're kind of backtracking on their all-in on lightning damage, like a nature lightning bolt damage. In the previous builds, they were much more focused on lightning bolt, Stormkeeper. How's that going to do damage? How's that going to scale? All that stuff. With the reintroduction of ICEFURY into the builds, we're now seeing them kind of peel some of that complexity and new style away. And this probably has to do with all the feedback received from the ICEFURY change, but that's okay. I mean, I'm okay with having ICEFURY. I hope they update the animations for Frost Shocks. It is a little boring to watch and underwhelming, but it does a sick amount of damage. So, guys, this has been a quick kind of iterative video where I'm showing you what's changing as it's happening. I know people might get a little upset that this is not, I have past videos that might have been old, but I want to keep releasing these videos as iterative changes happen. It's hard to follow everything. So each video that I come out with will give you those incremental changes. If you want to know everything that's changing in BFA, go and watch the previous videos that I've done as well. Look at some of the spell abilities. Start there and then come back here, because there's so much changing, and each time it's harder and harder to keep track of every single thing that's happening. But everybody, I want to know what you think. There's been so much comments going on and discussion about this in the video comments. Hit me up again. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is good? Are you glad ICEFURY is back? Tell me. If you're glad for ICEFURY, you can read in the comments, and I know what it means. And what do you think about these other changes? Changing of Earthquake, changing of the Maelstrom generation, changing of Earth Shock. I feel a little bit emotional about the Earth Shock one. But that's pretty much it, everybody. If you want to see other classes, put it down in the comments. I'm going to be doing classes, as many classes as I can when these new builds come out. It's hard for me to do all of them, or really any of them other than Shaman, because I have to do so much research. But let me know down below, and I'll try to focus on at least one more for this build. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.